Hey everyone, it's PK here. I'm joined with Matt, very graciously, who's made the time to do this interview or video, you could call it, just to share his experiences of having gone from someone who's invested in property before, but I'm kind of putting words in your mouth here, Matt, but like you kind of weren't confident, you were still kind of umming and ahhing whether you should use buyer's agents or different people out there and things like that. To then someone who's actually bought, and I know that people still have trouble believing that this is possible, but he's bought something that's positive cash flow by a long way, something that he's, correct me if I'm wrong, he had already achieved capital growth on in like less than a month or two, is something that's under market value. He didn't get it off market, but you don't need to when you got those three things anyway. So that's a pretty amazing result. And so I just do these videos. Obviously, guys, this is a sales and marketing thing for me, but I genuinely want you to get some value out of it. And I've requested Matt to not spill the beans, but just to genuinely and authentically share his experience so that whoever is watching, and there's probably thousands of you across LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, so you can actually get some real genuine value, because I know that you guys are all probably lacking confidence. You're hearing all these things from different experts, including me. You lack trust in everyone, including me. So hopefully it's just a genuine person, everyday person who's got a good result that you can be inspired by. But that's kind of enough for me. Welcome, Matt. I appreciate you taking the time.
No, that's cool. No, thanks for having me, PK. It's good to be
here. Yeah. And yeah, I was just saying to Matt before I started hitting record that in the course, it's like a self-paced course. People do it in their own time at their own pace. And then we have Zoom sessions where I kind of help diagnose problems and sort of handhold, but I never even had a single Zoom session with Matt. This is our first Zoom session. So like entirely all the credit is his. Like I actually didn't even help him at all. So yeah, look, Matt, why don't you just start off by just sharing with everyone your property experience, I guess, before you met me.
Yeah, for sure. So I I bought my first property when I was 20, so about 7 years ago, off the back of experts' advice and guidance. Obviously, so I've used a buyer's agent twice before. And unfortunately, because of the industry that it is, it's hard to, well, you think you can trust these people, that they're doing it every day. They should be able to, correctly buy or help you assist you to buy these properties. And I bought the first one when I was 20, no strategy. That was probably the mistake I made. Just sort of thought, you just go out there and you buy a property, it goes up, you buy another one, just like they sort of, tell you.
That's what it says on the brochure, right?
Correct. It's, it's not a cookie cutter strategy. And I bought another one a couple of years later. I think I was 22 or 23. And both those properties haven't really done anything exponential off the back of being told, even though you shouldn't believe what you hear, but you feel good about hearing that it's going to do well and this is going to happen, and infrastructure, population, all the usual sales pitches that come across with these companies. And basically, I remember getting a valuation done on both of them. I think it might have been 12 months, 18 months after the second one, thinking I'm going to be able to keep the ball rolling, to be quite rudely shocked to think, whoa, I'm still in the same position that I am. And I was like, oh, okay. So I sort of was in a bit of a slump, and just continuing to save money. I sort of gave up on the idea that I was ever going to use property as a vehicle to some sort of financial freedom in the future. So I was thinking, oh, do I just buy my own home and do what everyone else does and pay it off for 30 years and have nothing, well, apart from the own home, have really nothing else, or sort of educate myself and try and bounce back with some positivity, which I did. So it took me 4 years, and I've saved up, I've got two deposits there. So I've just obviously bought the first one, and as soon as that settles, which is in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be sort of ready to go again. So, but the main thing is now I have a strategy in place. So I know what I want, and obviously off the back of doing the course, I'll be able to get there.
It's good to hear. Like I know that before you sort of took the leap of faith and gave over your credit card details. you were part of lots of Facebook groups. I think you were part of my Facebook group, which is the Australian Property Investment Mastery. You were also part
Yep,
of some other fantastic Facebook groups. Our friends Jeff and Joe have a fantastic
correct.
one called Oz Property Investors.
They do.
Shout out to them, not that they're
Abs-
probably going to watch this.
Absolutely. Good fellas.
Good fellas. So you kind of, as many people who are probably watching this as well, you probably did the rounds in the Facebook groups, Matt. I don't know if
Correct.
you're like a podcast junkie as well, or,
Yep.
or not. Yeah, there you go. And all that kind of thing. So, like, a lot of people will be watching this that are kind of like really confused. Like, and I don't really want you to sell my course here, but like, just explain your sort of confusion, or whether it was overwhelm, or like, there's a lot of information out there. It's sort of hard to know who to trust. Like, was that what you were experiencing, or am I putting words in your mouth?
No, that's correct. There's just that many, I suppose, strategies, buyers agents, ideas. I mean, I had obviously interviewed several buyers agents over the last few years to see if I was a suitable fit. And whilst I was about to launch down the track of a particular buyer's agent who I believe are pretty fair, and obviously go down the track of what they believe in as part of their strategy, I come across your course and sort of listened to a few of your videos, and it was the reverse of what everyone was saying. So I was like, I sort of questioned it, but I questioned it in a good way. I was kind of thinking, well, everyone's going and buying in Brisbane, and you're putting up deals that are in other areas, and I sort of wondered how you were able to, I guess, back that up. And obviously, after we had a chat on the phone, you sort of broke down your course as best you can without giving away too much. And I didn't really even have to think about it. It was sort of just made sense to me. And I thought, well, all these buyers agents are popping up everywhere. What is the secret? And then I sort of discovered that there really isn't a secret. Anyone can be a buyer's agent, anyone can buy property, and what they're actually giving you is not really, I don't believe it's worth the money that they're asking when you can do it yourself. And your system obviously allows you to do step by step, but really in depth, because I didn't know that, for example, stock on market, what percentage that should be at to be healthy, and obviously the other 30 odd factors that you look at. It's all right to say I know what the factors are, but knowing what their actual percentage is for healthy, I guess, a healthy result or healthy figure, I'd be guessing. I'd be spending hours and hours researching what is a healthy figure for stock on market, and it's just going to become too much opinion and not enough sort of fact. So I didn't hesitate. I just thought, no, I'm going to do it because I would like to do it myself. It's not rocket science, and and subsequently I did, and no regrets. I think it's great.
Yeah, I was thrilled. Like, every time like a client buys something, and for full transparency, like, I'm not a buyer's agent. I don't actually help you. Like, I don't say, here's the deal, right? You do it yourself with my assistance. But when you message me on Facebook Messenger, like, it always puts a smile to my face when someone's like, exclamation, this is the deal. It was a good deal. Like, I was just confirming the numbers with you before we hit record. So the valuation was 305. You negotiated it to, are you comfortable if I talk numbers?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I started before. So 305 val, you negotiate to 290. Then in the conditional period, you negotiated it further down to 285. The rent is going to be like 350. So like oodles of positive cash flow, it's under market. And like, you've already got a comparable that's sold, very similar property, same location, same pocket, for $35,000 more. I know you haven't got a revalue, you haven't even settled yet, but that's the capital growth right there.
Correct.
Like, like, sometimes, I don't know if this was you, Matt, before you did the course, but like, you don't need to be an industry professional to get these results. You don't need to do it full time. You don't need to have any experience. And like, just tell us best you can how you went about doing it.
Yeah, so basically, obviously, once I completed the course, I pinned down this particular area in Adelaide, and I basically obviously jumped on realestate.com, did a little bit of looking at what was for sale, what rents were, so forth, and set up some alerts. So once I knew the area that I wanted to be in and the exact area of that suburb, I set up the alerts on Domain, So I'd get a message or an email every time a new property hit the market. Now, this particular property, I remember hit the market Thursday night. I was literally straight onto the agent. So I knew that this is where I needed to buy. It didn't hit realestate.com. So straight away I thought, oh, the vendors are trying to just enter softly.
Yeah.
And I thought that's good. Basically went in with my offer, knowing what it was valued off doing the workbook part of the course. So I knew what I was sort of looking for valuation wise. I put the offer in Friday morning, I think it was. It was sort of, yeah, slightly negotiated, accepted before the open home. So I was really happy about that because it was an open home that Saturday.
Yeah.
So if it went to open home, I wouldn't have stood a chance. Had the contract signed Friday with all my terms and conditions, etc. It was accepted. Yeah, and we basically went from there. What did help was the fact that the agent wasn't a local agent. And that has both equal pros and cons, because the fact that I was able to, I suppose, get it off his books without him having to travel frequently and showing people through the property was handy.
Yeah.
But the downside to that is when the property manager wanted to assess the or go through the property for me on my behalf, obviously that was challenging. Building a PES was challenging. Banks entering the property was challenging, but we got there in the end.
Yeah.
It's been a very long process, but it's not costing me anything. Like I think I signed the contract early Feb, and it's not settling until the 13th or 14th of April. So there's just been a lot of, but yeah, the agent hasn't really been the vendor's best friend. So with about $1,500 worth of repairs that need to be done off the back of that. So I'm pretty happy with that. And the property manager's literally got tenants wanting a property like there's no tomorrow. So she's got people already, she's already working away for me without even being my official property manager. And she just wants settlement now because she's got people that are literally lining up to check it out, because that's the market. It's extremely hard to get a property to rent a property there. The vacancy rates are, I think, they're less than 0.05% or something minuscule at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's basically, in a nutshell, that's basically it. And I haven't been to the property or anything like that. There's no need for that. Yeah, the property manager was happy with it, so we continued on.
And that's exactly what we want, right? Like, yeah, it's a suburb where it's pretty hard to buy a property because there's hardly anything for sale, but it's even harder to rent a property. And that's exactly what, you know, as a property investor, what you want. You want there to be scarcity. You want there to be oodles of demand for your property in the rental market. Because, yeah, it's like some people, probably not you, Matt, because you already had properties before, but a lot of people have this kind of fear of like, oh, you know, like you're in Launceston, you bought in Adelaide, like, oh, you know, what if I can't get a tenant, or what if something happens, I can't catch a flight, all this kind of thing. But like, it wasn't easy for you because the agent kind of sucked. I hope they're not watching, but like, it was still entirely possible, right? And
correct.
If the agent wasn't that bad, then it would have been pretty seamless.
Correct.
So
I think if the agent was better, I wouldn't have got the deal. It would have gone for more and after the weekend. So I think that was definitely worked in my favor overall.
Yeah.
To be able to get that. But like securing a tenant's the least of my worry. It's never been a worry, because it's just, that's the last thing I think about, you know, worrying about.
Yeah, amazing. And so, like, be honest, was like, how much time did it take you? Because like sometimes, you know, people have this thing of like, all right, PK, you keep harping on about the fact that I don't need a buyer's agent. Like, you know, it's like a broken record now. I get it, but I just don't have any time. Like, you know, I've got a couple of young kids, wife or husband. You know, we can only spare like maybe 3, 4, 5 hours a week. Like, tell me, Matt, was this a part-time job for you?
No, not at all. It was, I mean, I work full time, and it was actually, I thoroughly enjoyed doing it. I actually really enjoyed doing it. But I think obviously when I initially started the course, that naturally takes a little bit of time because you've got so much to process. And I as I was going, I went over the course first, then I went back through it and set up at all the necessary areas that I need to look at, like you know, the factors that I'm looking for, like checking up the figures, etc. And I just did it step by step. So that obviously took its time, but that's where the important stuff happens, and it's crucial that you spend the time on that. But as far as once I had the area down pat, and literally the buying of the property and property manager and all that, it's flicking emails throughout the day, like literally at work. I'm just, ducking to the office, flick an email. It's literally 2 seconds done, and it's just back and forth like that. I certainly didn't need to take any time off work or spend, copious amount of hours after work. It was just happening as part of my day. So that was good. That was good. I enjoyed it. So it was like, it wasn't even a chore. Well, I'm saving 10 to 15K. So, it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm trying not to come across like too salesy, but I just really kind of want this point to hit home. Like, you can do it. You don't need it to be a part-time job. Of course, don't do it my way. If you're lacking interest in property, it's not going to work for you. You need to be passionate. You need to have some enthusiasm. But yeah, like really, you don't need to outsource this because of a lack of confidence or a lack of time or a lack of knowing where to start. Like, Matt's a really good example of that. And like, let's try to add some value to people who are watching, Matt.
Yep.
Like, what are some things that you kind of learned from the course that you maybe knew were important before, but you didn't fully gauge how important they were, or something that kind of really stuck out for you in the course that you wouldn't have got from another 3 years of kind of free podcast binging or YouTubing or whatever? Like, what are the key things that you can kind of share without giving the spilling the beans entirely, that sort of help people go on the right path?
Yeah. Look, I think hopefully this answers the question. The factors, like, how you've detailed in the course, the factors, and not just listing, you need to look at this, and this, but the thresholds that they need to be at, and what's more important over each other, because there's no perfect property, there's no perfect deal. So basically, if you don't know those factors, really, you're sort of buying in the dark, because some factors are more important than others. Some are crucial, and obviously some you can be a little bit adjusting on.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the absolute, one of the most important things that I took away, is actually knowing what I'm working with, and that just gave me the confidence to do what I've done and get to where I am, and to continue to go, because without it, I wouldn't be. I'd be following everyone else, and I'd just be buying in Brisbane and your north and south and west $350,000 properties like everyone else does, and including buyers agents, as where knowing these factors and how important they are took me to the areas that I need to be in. And when you're in the area, that it's a hot market, so to speak. You just a couple of phone calls to an agent, and they're just some of them are very there's people coming in with 20 or 30K more than that. And I know you can't listen to real estate agents, but when you pick the ones that are the most well known in the area, they're not beating around the bush as much, and that was showing through my searching and discussing with agents and property managers. It was a hot market, and I would have never ever guessed to have gone anywhere near Adelaide if it wasn't for the system. So I think that's going to make me thousands of dollars and save me thousands of dollars in pain in following the sheep. So I think overall that was, and like the workbooks and how much detail you put into those, like blew my mind. So having that on the background as well to work through, not just writing everything down, but having it all, in a system that I can just flick through and see where I'm at. I think that's, priceless, and I can't wait to tax time, because, you've made tax time easy with the tools. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I think in a nutshell, that's, I took the chance, and I'm definitely satisfied. So if anyone out there's wants to do it, absolutely, 100%, no regrets.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone say they look forward to tax time. Like, it's my worst time of year. It takes so long to do stuff, but the tools definitely help.
It does, or it will be. So no, overall, I'm absolutely glad I went down this path and not the path that I was about to go down. So very happy. And
I'm very grateful that you got a great result. Like, the thing with doing a course is that you're still the one flying the plane. Like, I can be the co-pilot, so to speak, but you're the one who's got your hands on the wheel. So, it's not for someone who's you know, just kind of wanting an instant gratification. Like, you do need to put some work in. But to be honest, like, I know that so many people, you know, kind of overwhelmed by property investing, especially if they've never done it before. But it's something that can be learned. Oftentimes buyers agents, and, you know, bless their cotton socks, you know, they use the analogy of, you know, like, if you need to change the wiring in your house, would you get an electrician to do it, or would you learn to do it? It's classic, right? And
It is.
I'm going to get, you know, bagged out on various buyers agents forums for saying this, but it's not like changing the wiring in your house. It's
No.
more like changing a kind of like a really complicated bulb that you can't get from Coles. You need to go for like a specialty store and get
Correct.
a bulb and just get a stairs and change it. Like, you can do this. You don't need to pay for an electrician. You can do this entirely yourself. Like, am I wrong here? Am I being unfair?
You are spot on. Like, if I can do it, you know, anyone can do it. That's my motto. Like, I think you don't need to use a buyer's agent if you're prepared to just put in those few hours and deal with everyone directly, because that's all a buyer's agent's doing. Is they're literally just dealing with the building and pest, the property manager, you know, the conveyancer. All they're doing is basically connecting everyone together. It's just, you can do it yourself. Like, it isn't hard. You make the calls. Yes, you've got to make some calls, you've got to send some emails, but you're going to be doing that with the buyer's agent anyway. But the thing is, the buyer's agent isn't going to be there after the fact like you are. So you're the designer behind the course. So if there's any questions or queries, you know, obviously on the forum, on your consulting page, you know, people can ask the question. We can all see what the answer is. And you know, I might be thinking it, but say bothering you, it's there. But not that that's a problem anyway, because I mean, you reply as soon as I send you a message, which is great. But yeah, like when people design courses too, they're very, it might be up the top and it just shuffles down, is where you don't get to speak straight to the person who's designed it. So it's where you're like, you're in the background if we need you. And yeah, it's great. It's where the buyer's agent, once that deal's done, the transaction's sealed, all they want to do is get you onto the next deal. And unfortunately, sometimes, the properties they secure for you won't get you to the next deal. So I no regrets whatsoever. And I'll use this system for every single property that I buy moving forward. So I'm happy. And for what the course is, it's priceless, because I can't put a price on saving what I've saved thus far and what I'm going to save in the future on buyer's agent fees alone, and buying in areas that should see some good growth in the next 2 to 3 years that I can then recycle and go to where I need to go with my plan. So yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Send me your bank details later. I'll transfer you the money for doing this this testimonial. But but genuinely, right? Like, I think there's like 2 million investors in Australia, property investors, and to be honest, like, how many get the types of results that you did? And you know, you don't have to do my course if you already know how to do this. Like, you don't need to lay down all this money, you know, and with me, do it yourself. Like, the key question that people should be asking is, can I do it myself? And if so, don't use me, don't use the buyer's agent, don't, just do it yourself. It's free, right? But if you can't do it, then it's entirely possible to learn it. And like, the point is that out of 100 property investors in Australia, there are probably less than 2 that get something that's positive cash flow. They get something that grows, not after 5 years, but after, like in your case, 30 days, and get something that's under market value. Like, these are rare, but that doesn't mean that they're like diamonds. Like, you can repeat this. It's rinse and repeat, right?
Correct.
So no, I don't want to take anything away from it. Like, you got a great result and it's all your work. And yeah, I just want to congratulate you and say
thanks,
good work.
mate.
And
thank you for putting together a really, really good course that's just changes everything. So yeah, I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah, and you didn't even really use much of my help. So next time you're probably not even going to like tell me you bought something, but please do.
I'll keep you in the loop. But yeah, I didn't need to reach out because it was all very self-explanatory. I mean, it's there, it's detailed, it's voiced. So I didn't really have the need to, you know, keep messaging you, asking you questions. It was pretty self-explanatory. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it, Matt. And thanks for your comments. And for those people who are watching as well, like, please don't just watch this and take it as like a sales and marketing thing. Yes, it is that, but I genuinely want you to know that you can do this. I want to give you that inspiration, that confidence that you can do this. And if there's anything that you're not sure of how Matt actually got his result or some technicalities, because of course we can't go into the detail, then just comment below. Like, you know, either Matt or I will answer your questions. Feel like, I know there are thousands of you that don't know how to get the result that Matt achieved. So just ask, and I'll give you a lot of free information, right? Like, I can't help you until you ask me. So like, I'm here to help you, and so is Matt, and so is all my community, to be honest. Like, we have a fantastic Facebook group. And yeah, I'll leave a link below as well. If you kind of vibe with this, if this is something you want to do, you can check it out. If not, that's all cool as well. But if you got value, if you got some benefit out of this video, just hit a subscribe if on YouTube, or like or love on other social platforms. And that helps me because it blows up, other people see it, and other people get value as well. So that's enough from me. Once again, Matt, thanks for putting your hard-earned money into the course. Thanks for trusting me, and yeah, hopefully I repaid it.
No, thank you. No, I've definitely got value for sure, 100%, and will continue to get value. So no, I really appreciate it, PK. Really do.
Thanks so much, Matt. See you, everyone.